Welcome back to another episode of Talk Your Abs Off. I'm your host, Abby Clapper, and today we are talking about Parkinson's Law. And that is the idea that work expands to fill the time available for its completion. My first boss, one of the best bosses that I've ever had, introduced this topic to me in my first corporate wellness job back in 2017. She was really big on organization and time management, and Parkinson's Law helped teach me to time block things that I needed to get done throughout the day instead of just jumping from task to task without a plan like I was doing. So here's an example of Parkinson's Law. If you give yourself an hour to fold laundry, it'll take you an hour. On the other side, if you give yourself 15 minutes to fold laundry, somehow you'll get it done in 15 minutes. Maybe you've experienced this before and can vouch for this, that this is sometimes how it works. Here's a personal example. I gave myself 2 weeks to edit my December podcast episode with a guest that comes out on December 1st, and you can bet that it is taking me the whole 2 weeks to get it done. Meanwhile, the episode that you're listening to right now, it is being recorded, edited, and marketing materials created within 2 days because that's what life gave me, but it's still working. I was recently reminded of this topic when a client came to me feeling really stressed about not being able to fit her healthy habits into her routine. And this is where a coach can be really helpful because you might not see a single ounce of spare time in your crazy schedule. But if you bring in someone with an outside perspective, they can help you navigate the crazy and find small amounts of time that you might be able to fit movement into. Usually, Parkinson's Law is a business topic, but I find that it fits into fitness really well. It comes into play when we're looking at meal prepping, fitting in your workouts, and you honestly might need to sit down and look at a schedule prior to all of these things happening to see how you can make it fit. So it does take a little bit of planning, but we're going to get into that. So, how can Parkinson's Law fit into fitness? Well, first, if you think that you need an hour to work out, you're going to fill that whole hour. And that's not a bad thing. Some planning does need to be done ahead of time, or your planning time could expand to fill the time that we wanted to work out. So, this is where planning your workouts in advance or having a coach plan your daily and weekly workouts for you can be really beneficial. This also comes into play when we're looking at rest days, right? So, you can have planned rest days where you know on certain days you're not working out versus sporadic rest days on days that you just don't really feel like it. And those rest days can turn into weeks off of your training plan. And so that's why planning of everything is super important. So I want to give you a personal example of this. So in October, I did a Squatober program that was planned by Pen and Paper Strength on Instagram, if you want to go check them out. And it was 5 days a week of strength training, of really heavy lifting, specifically for lower body strength. They also had some upper body strength. So most of my workouts in the beginning were taking 45 minutes to an hour, which is what they told us to plan for. Well, I ended up doing something to my shoulder, and I had to shorten my workouts a bit because I pretty much took out all of the upper body stuff so that I could let my shoulder rest. And so I was only focusing on the lower body, and that cut off some time in my workouts. And I found that, I would maybe add in a few extra things of my own, maybe working on core here and there, expanding the time of my workout to almost try to fit back into that like 45-minute time frame. Now, I noticed this and I thought, well, if I can get my workouts done in 30 minutes, like 30 minutes is okay. Does not mean that I'm missing out on anything. It's really all that I can do right now, and I should really focus on those 30 minutes of those leg exercises, take my time, and it's okay if it only took me 30 minutes. I can go home, spend that extra time doing something else. So that's a good example of maybe we do try to expand our workout time into something more than it maybe needs to be, or if you have the time and you enjoy it, that's totally okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, applying Parkinson's Law to your own routine. This might feel kind of complicated, especially if you're just hearing about this law for the first time, right? So you can start by setting time limits. So if you do feel like you're too busy to work out, try setting a 20-minute time limit and just see how much you can get done, whether it's in the gym or at home with equipment that you have at home. Maybe it's even body weight. Now, within these 20 minutes, I don't want you to rush, right? We want to take adequate rest time. We want to do all of our exercises with really good form, slow and controlled with everything. This is not meant to rush you. This is just setting a time frame and just seeing how much you can get done. Maybe it's a few sets of an exercise, or maybe it's 10 sets of an exercise. We don't know. That's why we're kind of playing around with this time limit of 20 minutes to see what you can do and how you feel after that 20 minutes. You can also take once you're done with that 20 minutes, we use a scale called rate of perceived exertion. This is a scale of 1 to 10 of super easy to really, really hard. And you can gauge how you're feeling on this RPE scale, this rate of perceived exertion scale, to kind of decide, does something need to be more challenging, or was this the perfect amount of time for a good exercise that you feel good about? Just because a workout is short does not mean that it's not high quality. You don't necessarily need an hour to get a good sweat in. A lot of people do enjoy an hour workout and they have that time available, but that is not the end all be all. And that's not realistic for everyone. If you have kids, if you have a really demanding job, if you travel a lot for work, an hour just might not fit into your schedule, and that's okay. Something else that can help is deciding your workout the night or week before so that you're not wasting mental energy the morning of. But Abby, I don't have time to plan. Yes, you do. I promise you that you do. If you can find 5 or 10 minutes the night before, maybe it's you just finished up with dinner and you're sitting scrolling on your phone, maybe take a minute, go over to your notes app or to your workout planning app and just take a moment and make sure that everything is lined up for the next day. If the night before seems a little bit too stressful, like you have way too much going on, then planning the week ahead is probably going to be the most beneficial for you. And that's something that I like to do is I like to plan a week in advance. That's what I do when I plan my group exercise classes that I teach. I sit down on Saturday or Sunday and I will plan out all 8 of my group exercise classes for the week so that I know that if people are coming to multiple of my classes, that they're not doing the exact same thing, those couple of classes, and that there's variety, we're not overusing anything. It's just a good way to see the whole picture, which is something that you can do as well, making sure that you're not doing all upper body on back-to-back days, that you're giving yourself a little bit of a rest in between if you're doing similar body parts or, adjusting things upper, lower rest day, whatever that looks like for you. So my mini challenge for you to try is for this next week, if you aren't able to find time for your workouts, if you're really struggling with that, I want you to cap your workouts at 30 minutes and notice how efficient that you become. If you had been trying to fit in an hour and it just wasn't working, cap it at 30 minutes. I guarantee you that you have 15 to 30 minutes in your day. You just have to find it. That might sound like a little bit of tough love, but I'm here to help you find what's going to work best for you, and you're not going to find it if you don't give it a try. All right, here comes the mindset shift. For all of us, myself included, all of us who are all or nothing thinkers, less time might feel like it doesn't count. And I totally get that. I can fall into that trap sometimes too. If I do a workout and it's only 15 minutes, I'm like, dang, it really should be more. Nope, it does not have to be. 15 minutes can be enough, especially depending on how your body's feeling. If maybe you need more rest that day, there's a good balance between listening to your body and also just doing what needs to be done sometimes. I really want to emphasize consistency over the duration of your exercise. So the recommended amount of physical activity for adults is 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise. So if we can break that down, if you were to exercise, do physical activity 3 days a week, you would need to do it for 50 minutes each of those 3 days to hit that 150 minutes. Now, if you spread it out into 5 days, you would only need to do 30 minutes on those 5 days. If it was 6 days, 25 minutes, but we also want to make sure that we're resting at least 1 day in there. So I wouldn't recommend going up to 7. So you can see how you can kind of adjust to still reach the recommended amount of moderate intensity physical activity. It just takes a little bit of tweaking, but then you'll still start to build that consistency. So if you think that 5 days, if you can do 30 minutes for 5 days, that is great. If you can do 30 minutes for 3 days, I think that that's a really good start. If you're not up to doing 5 full days yet, that's okay. You can always work up to it. That's why we want to start at that 3 days, at whatever you can, maybe even 2 days. If you're not even at 2 days, start with 1 day. It's all about starting and staying consistent. So if you can split it up and start smaller, that is totally okay. Or on the other hand, you can find days with larger gaps in it for longer workouts. Maybe your weekends are more free, so maybe you can get 30 minutes to an hour on Saturday or Sunday. And then during the week, you can shorten up those workouts so that you feel like you have that time available to you. And you also are still getting closer to that recommended amount of time. That is a wrap on Parkinson's Law, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it or how you find Parkinson's Law in your fitness routine and how you can fit your healthy habits in. You can shoot me a message on Facebook or Instagram, and I would also love to remind you to subscribe to this podcast and leave a review if you think that this information is helpful. I will catch you on the next episode of Talk Your Abs Off.